G'day punters, your old mate Juppy from Star Sports Australia here with this week's edition of the Weekend Witness. Ripping time of year, footy's coming to the pointy end, the racing's starting to heat up. Real good time to be involved. Kick off at Caulfield on Saturday. It was SEN Underwood Stakes Day there. The SEN deck, they did trackside there on Saturday, and the clear highlight was old mate T-Dog's Trav Noonan. That was a ripping shirt. I really liked that. He was clearly the best dressed there. Hopefully my old mate Jenkins won enough to buy himself a belt. Couple of the key performances there. Sapples was very good in the Sir Rupert Clarke. Yes, they'll all cry that Angel Capity was a tragedy beaten, but bit of pilot error there. Frosty held his hand up. We play on. The other big one was Sir Delius in the Underwood. What a performance that was. Tough as teak. I thought he was beaten at about the 70 to the 50 metre mark where Buckaroo headed him, but he kicked back and won. That's the real polish of the Gaybot setup there, so well done to them. Buckaroo was another great run. Look forward to seeing both of those sort of Cox Plate Melbourne Cup. They'll be both in there and they'll be both chances. So keep following the form out of that race. The other one there was poor old Trav Noonan. It was sort of a half tongue-in-cheek comment that he made on Correct Weight on Sunday morning with his brother Nico that half yours was almost over the line in the Caulfield Cup. Well, the digital team ran with that. Yes, it was an effort. For half yours. Is he over the line in the Caulfield Cup? Don't quite think so. I think it'll be a pretty deep race. I think it'll be a good race. But looking forward, Berkshire Breeze was there. It was a decent race, but is it enough to win a Caulfield Cup off the back of it? That I'm not 100% sure. Then we go to Sydney. I did the Bookies versus Pros on Friday with Betfair, where I took on Dean Watling. Dean was very keen on Private Harry. So was Shane Curlio. He's been spruiking it since probably 7 or 8 months ago. He's been right on it and said it was the Everest winner. Don't jump off now, punters. If anything, now's the time to back him. Cargying Rising's not across the line, I don't think, and he's awfully short. I think he's like $1.75 in these futures markets. If you're taking that, you're doing it wrong. Because he'll be $1.50, $1.60 on the day when he's here and you know what the track is. So don't fall into that. Forgive one bad run. And I said on the show that Jolly Star would either win or it was a barrier trial. It was one of the ones that T-Dogs tipped. So it was Jenkins' best bet for the day. So if you're looking for their stuff, the SEN Tipping Hub, powered by Star Sports, make sure you check that out each day because that's where all the bets can be found. It was a great effort by Jolly. She's a bit of an underrated superstar, Jolly Star. She's a very, very good horse. She's a seasoned mare in good form. Keep following her. Footy. Huge weekend of footy. Saturday, I went down the street here to the Queen Elizabeth Oval, the QEO here in Bendigo, for the Bendigo Football Netball League Grand Final. I watched the last quarter of the 18s and most of the reserves because that's where Golden Square was represented. The Sandhurst had a team in all three grades, but only came away with one flag, which was in the 18s. Golden Square a little bit up against it because they only had, I think, 5 or 6 top age boys, so a couple of those will definitely play senior footy next year. But yeah, there was some boys as young as 15 in that team, so there's a bit of hope there. The reserves for Golden Square got the job done, which was great. They won by 3 points. Good game of footy, really enjoyed it. And then I left to come back here to hop in the bunker to work. And probably the biggest upset I can remember in a Bendigo League Grand Final for a while now was Eaglehawk getting up over the top of the Slagheads Sandhurst to win. They won by 10 points. That's some effort. And in a couple of the other leagues that I followed, there were some absolute standout performances. Tom Williams, who played at Carlton, he has led Ararat. That was their 3rd flag in a row. They won by 80-odd points or something over the Southern Mallee Power. he was phenomenal, Tom Williams. And then down there in the Northern Footy League, Heidelberg were far too good for Hurstbridge, but Hurstbridge are building, so keep an eye out for them. AFL-wise, 2 ripping preliminary finals. Geelong in the first quarter, they looked like a deer in the headlights, and I thought, well, geez, they're in trouble here. And once they settled and got going again, geez, they were good. That was a really, really good effort, especially without Tom Stewart. That was a ripping performance by the Cats. And then the Collingwood-Brisbane game. Brisbane were just a bit too seasoned, and I thought he was a little bit out-coached too, Fly. So a brilliant effort by the Lions. When I was sitting there and I spoke to a couple of people whose opinions I respect during that game, I sort of thought the line would be about 8.5, and it opened up sort of 12 and whatnot and 280. So I grabbed some of that. I think it should be quite tight and it should be a bit closer together. But either way, I know that I've got a 12-hour day coming up on Saturday because the Curleos of Brisbane and Ethan Christian's Geelong. So looks like your old mate's going to be stuck here in the bunker all day. But that's the spot where I want to be. I can watch the races. I can watch the footy. I'm looking forward to Saturday. AFLW. Now that there's only one game of AFL left, of men's, we'll jump into the women's. There was a couple of very interesting results there yesterday. Sydney were $1.02 and got turned over by the Giants. That was as bad as the Sydney women's team have probably ever played for the amount of talent that they've got. I couldn't believe that. And Adelaide went to the Gold Coast. They were at People's First Stadium there. Well, they kicked 1 goal to three-quarter time. They were $1.04 or 5 or something. Like, they were short too. They looked like absolute hot garbage and then kicked 7 goals in the last quarter to win the game quite comfortably. So it's been very interesting. North Melbourne continue to be dominant in that AFLW space. So just keep your eyes out on what's happening there. Now, the other footy I wanted to touch on, the VFL Grand Final was an absolute ripping game of footy yesterday. Footscray got on top early, but Southport, what a club. I hope they don't make any changes to that, to the format of that league. Leave it as it is. Don't pull the AFL reserves out. Let's just have a real good... If it's got 23 or 4 teams or however many, it doesn't matter. Just it's competitive football and it's sort of a little bit aspirational. If there was a bit more money in it, it'd help. Because you can probably get more money going playing either local footy or in the bush, and maybe look at having a promotion and relegation system with it that you promote some of these better clubs into it. But there was another interesting local one was in the EDFL. Was I see poor old Mick McGuan's Keilor got beat. But that Footscray were on top early at Princes Park, and then Southport came roaring back, made it quite close, and then Footscray got over the top of him in the finish. It was a ripping game of footy. I'll briefly touch on the NRL because I got put in YouTube jail last week by PVL for putting up some of the highlights. Good luck getting a ticket for the Storm on Friday night. They'll be harder to get than grand final tickets, those tickets. Like if they played that across the road at the G, they would have got 70-odd thousand there, I would have imagined. Penrith were real good last night, and the Sharks were good against Canberra too, but be interesting to see how that pans out. NFL. As one of the players from Green Bay said, they shit the bed. They looked ordinary, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater with them either. So there were some interesting performances. Kansas City were just okay earlier against the Giants. So we'll just have to sort of see what happens with them. That Eagles-Rams game was a ripper. But the other thing was there was 7 field goals in total that were blocked today, which is just ridiculous. And 3 of those were in the last 2 minutes of games. So, yeah, just some weird happenings in the NFL. But we're sort of starting to get a bit of a feel of where teams might be at. F1-wise, Oscar went into the wall again. Azerbaijan hasn't been too kind to him. So, that was a bit tough. But a little bit of a busy week ahead. I've got Mildura Trots tomorrow night, Bendigo Trots Wednesday. We've got a Bedfair function on Thursday night, and then Moonee Valley on Friday night. I'm keen to get along there. It's one of the real good meetings, and there's only 3 meetings left at Moonee Valley, so can't wait to get along there. Anyway, why don't you let me know what you saw this weekend? Make sure you subscribe to the channel to keep up. Like and share. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Anyway, starsports.com.au. That's where you come to take us on. Good luck with this week, punters. Can't wait.